share some stories this morning, and he's a much better storyteller than me. So he may have the biggest part of the program. But before we get started, I'd like to have everybody to stand up and warm up with us. I've asked Russel if he would lead us in warming up. How many warms up before you every morning when you get up? How many have you stretched? Warm up. It's me. Y'all fell in class already, boys. So let's stand up, guys. Right where you're at. Russell will lead us.
Now the reason Dennie wants us to do this is that we are in a boxing class together, and this is what we do at the beginning of our boxing class, so we don't tear anything during the hour or 2 hours we're doing it. And the reason Dennie specifically wanted us to do it in this group is that at our last boxing class, which was Thursday, I was kidding him, and I said, Dennie, I said, why don't you practice your talk while we're doing our warm-ups? And so while we were all doing our warm-up exercises that we're going to show you, Dennie gave his talk. And then I was suggesting that when he got here, that he should give his talk while we were warming up, but he kind of reneged on that part. So what we're going to be doing is we'll just carry you through. I'm going to put the mic down and show you and have y'all participate in what we do just to warm up, and this will kind of get you ready after all that breakfast y'all had. So the first thing we would do is we'd have everybody put their arms out, so you need the arms width, and we would just rotate. There's somebody up there ahead of us over there. And we do about 10 of these. I mean, it's nothing strenuous. And then we would reverse. We'd say reverse, and you change the direction of it. And then we would stop that, and then we'd say, take your right arm and pull it across your body and hold it. And usually we would say to Dennie, your right hand, not your left hand.
The right hand now.
And we would hold it, and you just pull it as far as you can without too much pain. And then we'll put that down and say, take your left arm and do the same thing with it.
That's the same arm.
For somebody. Then after we would do that, we'd say, take your right hand and raise it up over your head and put it down your back. Some of you can do it with a little help. You can straight and feel it stretching. And we hold that for about 10 seconds. Then we'll put that arm down and we'll say, raise your left arm. Pull it down towards your back. And you can see where this would be beneficial for you every morning to kind of just get you going. And we put our arms down, and then we have one that our gym owner likes us to do, and we kid him because he was in the state trooper. That's apparently what he had people do when he had put your arms behind you and just reach as far back as you can. You can feel that kind of stretch. Okay? And then here's the one that's tough for me. It says reach your hands. They say reach your hands to your toes, and I kind of say reach your hands towards your toes. Okay, just stand up and take your right hand and reach over to your left foot. You can feel that pulling on the back of your leg. Take your left hand, stand back up, go put your left hand. Reach over your right foot. You know, Andy, everybody stand back up. Andy, I was kind of thinking if you're doing your sermon and everybody looks kind of, they're not participating. Just get here. Okay, y'all can sit down then. What scripture with you as far as I'm going to share some scripture with you concerning
way to do about encouragement. It says in First Thessalonians, chapter 5, verse 11, to be an encourager, encourage one another. That's exactly what we've done right there. We warmed up, but we encouraged Joe, Jerry, and all of us to participate and do this. That's scary, when something gets that close to my face. With that said, I'd like to share my first story with you. If it don't last too long, I'll tell another. But in 1995, I'd be bopping around and making money and having a good time. And I woke up one morning having that good time, and I was passing blood clots through my kidney. And the next day I was diagnosed with renal cell carcinoma on my left kidney. It was a huge tumor. I'd have it removed, and it was a real hard surgery to get over. But the Lord healed me and I got over it. I didn't have to have chemotherapy, I just had it removed. But it metastasized in my head in 18 more weeks. Or months rather, excuse me. And I woke up on a Sunday morning again with 2 tumors in my head. And they were renal cell carcinoma as well, which is a slower type of growing cancer, the way I understand it. But that was successful and removed them without taking any treatments. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, we was still building 2 new churches with Doug Martin's ministry that I was served on, and life was good. I didn't have any cancer anymore until I went for a checkup and they found another one in my chest in 2000. So the reason I want to tell the story is I didn't tell it for a long time. Well, God, I thought that would be bragging. But if I don't tell it, God can't get the glory for it.
Amen.
And that's what it's all about anyhow. He is our great encourager. And it's encouraging to see this many people here and see dads with their sons and grandpas with their grandkids. But that was a hard time for me. I was single, lived by myself. Amanda was in college at that time. And I couldn't take care of myself. I came home and I didn't have any caretakers, except my 2 older brothers. And they both are godly men. And they came to my rescue, put me in a shower and gave me a shower and cleaned my bed and they fed me. They stayed with me. I was really blessed to have them as my encouragers, and I've had more encouragers as the time goes on. And guys, it's so important for us to encourage one another. That's how I got through it. And as the road goes on, from the cancer, I was working at camp, so I retired. That was my retirement. I went to volunteer at camp for the next 20 years. So I spent my summers at camp and started a horse ministry that I had no clue how to do, but God was telling me to do it. And I met Penny, and we got married. Yeah, and that was in 2005. Excuse me. In 2004 we met, got married in 2005. And something when I was going through all the surgeries. You know, I've got a daughter, and I don't have anybody else, but now, all these years later, I've got a son-in-law that feels like he's my son. I've got a grandson here, I've got 6 grandkids, and another daughter. Penny had a daughter. So, only God can do stuff like that, and the encouragement I got from the church and my brothers and the people I knew. So the good life is back again, doing great. And I woke up again one morning and my left hand was shaking. So I went to my primary doctor and he gets me an appointment with a neurologist. And I was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. But through all everything with the Parkinson's has been a blessing in a lot of ways. I know it's a bad disease to have. It's bad to put up with it every day. It affects my speech. It affects the tremors in my body, the control of my body, the stiffness. So I was told that by my neurologist that boxing was one of the #1 exercises I could do to battle Parkinson's. So as God would have it, Jerry Locker had just put a gym in London, Kentucky that accommodated people like me with Parkinson's, and started out with that. Into anything, we even allowed Russel to come and get involved. How long has it been there? 5 years?
5 years this month.
And we got a gym. How long have you been coming, Jim? 2 years. And we're about 10 strong now. Jim Peters came some, work out with us, so did Darrell. But it's been a blessing because I have met a lot of people. And I pray that I've been a blessing to them as much as they have me. And one of those people sitting there to my left is Russell. Has been the most awesome encourager. He tells you the truth. You don't want to hear it sometimes. And he knows about everything that needs to be done. But I love him for the encouragement he's given me through this time that I've had Parkinson's. So he's got some stories, and most of them won't be the truth, but he's got some stories he'd like to share with us. We have a good time. We go to the gym together, and I'll shut up and let Russell talk some. Close. Here we go.
Well, Wayne said we had to be done by 9:30, so if anybody.
Yeah, we ran over, so you good.
Oh, we can go some more?
Yeah, we'll go over.
Well, they asked me to be able to tell Dennie stories, and it wasn't a matter of telling a Dennie story, it was kind of picking which one that we wanted to tell.
Now, see, I'm getting cues from Joe. Joe is I wasn't gonna tell this, Joe, but you're the expert in giving speeches. You ever watch him on Sunday? He gets up there, he has no net, he doesn't take any notes. I got detailed notes. And I wondered why how he could do that without notes. And Joe says, that's because I don't even think about what I'm gonna talk about till I head down to the front, so I don't have time to make notes. So, and I enjoy it because when he starts his story, I don't know how he's gonna get to what we wanna talk about, but he does every time. So, but anyway, that's all I'm gonna tell you about Joe. I was having fun this morning, and I was talking to Mason, and I said, Mason, you're gonna be in one of my stories. And so Mason, this is it. Hey, Mason. Okay, so I told you I had to kind of reduce the number of stories, and Dennie was very, very nervous about me talking, because I got to go after him, so he doesn't get another shot. And so I said, oh, Dennie, I will promise you I will not tell them about the kitten that you left on my front porch 12 years ago.
I didn't do it.
And I said, and I won't tell them about the Christmas when I let you keep my dog while we were out of town, and you called me and said, Russel, I lost your dog. And I said, we'll not talk about that. And I won't tell you about the day that he kidnapped me on my 40th wedding anniversary at 6 o'clock in the morning and did not bring me back home until 6 p.m. I'm not gonna go into that, it wouldn't be fair. But I want to talk, Dennie talked a little bit about going to doing horse camping. That's, you know, when you think about going to horse camp, you just think about, well, they got a bunch of horses out, we just go out there and jump on the horses, ride them, and go back to the cabin. Well, there's a whole lot more to it. You gotta, one, you gotta get enough horses to run your camp, and you gotta have horses that'll be trained for it, and then you gotta get wranglers. Then you try to have one wrangler for every 2 campers, and they've gotta be trained on how to work with not only horses, but with kids. And then you gotta be able to feed, take care of all your horses. And so there's a lot to that. How he was able to do all that with all that he has been through is just amazing. So I could talk just about horse camp, but I'm not gonna do that. But I will tell you one thing was amazing. Then he comes to me and says, hey, I need you to help me with horse camp. And I laugh because in 76 years, I've only been on a horse 4 times. And 3 of them I didn't like. So why he would want me to help him with horse camp, I did not know. But as it ended up, I ended up doing a primitive carpentry class, no power tools. And I did that for years. And a little known fact is that during that week, my daughter called me to give me information to pass on to the kids. And I told my very first dad joke that during horse camp. The joke was, what's red and smells like green paint? So that was my very first one. Okay, so I'm not going to tell you about that. I started to tell you all about the boxing, but I figured he'd talk a lot about boxing. And this is another one of those stories. Dennie calls me and he says, hey, I want you to go to boxing class with me. And I said, Dennie, isn't that a Parkinson boxing class? And he goes, yeah. And I go, Dennie, you know I don't have Parkinson. And he says, yeah, but I think you enjoyed it. I'd like to have you in the class. So I ended up going. And it was probably one of those things where it was the best thing I ever did. I've been 5 years. When I went in, they were running a test, and one of the things they had us do was push-ups, and I did 7, and I was impressed that I could do 7 push-ups. Well, now I can do 50. So I had a big, and in addition to that, I lost 40 pounds. So I got a lot of benefits, but the greatest benefit is that I met a lot of really neat people that were pushing to get things done. They didn't let the Parkinson's affect them. And so that pushed me to do more than what I was able to do. And unfortunately, we lost a few of the people that we worked with. Let's see, was there anything else I wanted to tell you? Oh, in addition to working and with the other guys in our class, initially we had 2 different trainers. Both were high school kids, so they're high school kids working with guys in their 50s, 60s, and 70s, which is kind of impressive. But they had kind of a rough family life. And between Dennie and I, we pushed one through to get their high school diploma. We pushed another one through to get their GED. Dennie, one of them, when he was 19, Dennie took him out and taught him how to drive so he could get a driver's license. And y'all been reading, if any of y'all read Virginia, that just kind of amazes me.
I read the first 7 being in the head.
And we're able to to work with them, and both of them have since gotten real legitimate jobs. And so that's probably the biggest accomplishment that we had. But that's all I'm gonna tell you about that. I could tell you about, Dennie and I went to breakfast one Wednesday at Weaver's, and the next Wednesday, Dennie had decided that we would form a group and have a Wednesday breakfast. And so it increased from 2, we're running about 9, 10 people now. And we've been doing that for about 7 years. So that's all I'm gonna tell you about that one. So what I'm gonna really talk about is, when I first met Dennie, he had a Christmas at Freedom Farm. He owned a farm, and it was a nice farm. It had a log cabin, and he started it doing the Christmas. It was just a family thing, which is not a small group, but it was just them. And then you know how Dennie is. Every time he sees somebody, he has to invite them. And so it became almost a community Christian church at Freedom Farm Christmas party. And so then Dennie decided that he would have everybody park out at his barn, and then they hooked up his carriage, and he'd give them a horseback ride up to the house. And then decided they needed a fire pit down there so people could stay warm till it was their turn to get the ride up to the cabin. And then decided that we needed apple cider and hot chocolate to give them so that they could help keep them warm. And then some of his horse kids started showing up, so he decided he needed to saddle a few horses and let them ride horses while we were doing all the stuff with the Christmas at Freedom Farm. And then one day, amazingly, he comes to me and he says, "This is getting way too much for me to take care of, to do this Christmas at Freedom Farm." And so I thought, I was thinking this next sentence was been that we need to just shut this thing down. But he surprised me again. He says, "We need to move this thing out to Faith Christian Camp and do Christmas at the camp." And so he got with the camp manager, and which was Kate Posey, and they both like Christmas. And so all of a sudden, we decided we were going to do Christmas at the camp. And the thing about the camp, doing it at the camp, was they were shut down in the month of December. They drained the water, turned off the lights. There was nothing. There was not a Christmas tree to be had at the camp. So we were literally starting from scratch. So we were hitting yard sales and estate sales and to find stuff to use for it. And so Dennie called a meeting and to talk about, what we were going to have for this first camp. And we picked it just one day we were going to do it. And so we started, I said, well, let's brainstorm this. I said, y'all just throw out anything you think we could do, and I'll write it down, and then we'll go through it and pick the ones we want to do. So that's what we did. And I'll quickly just tell you a few things that they came up with. They said, well, we want to do a free soup and sandwich for all the guests. We want to decorate the dining hall. We want a singing group. We want vendors around the porch. We want a pony ride, a carriage ride, a snow slide, a pontoon on the lake, a parking lot for the guests, decorations for the outdoor pavilion, and then we're going to take all 6 cabins and put events in those and have the kids go in all those. So I said, okay, that's a pretty good list. I said, now which ones do you want to pick? And they go, we're going to do them all. And so we didn't get them all done the first year, but we did finally. We got a bunch of it. That's what you run into when you're with Dennie, because his motto, he doesn't know it, but his motto is go bold, go big, or go home. And so that's what makes it fun to do that. So we held the event. I thought we'd have 100 people show up. It's a good thing that I wasn't ordering the food, because we had 400. And so the next year we said, well, we better do this 2 nights. So we did it 2 nights, and we, instead of 400, we had a total of 900 people that came in for the same event. So we did that. A COVID came, we had to shut it down, and we said, you know, there's no way we can do what we were doing with that many people in a group, we'd all be arrested. And so, they said, well, no, we're gonna do a drive-through. So we had to put in additional roads, we had to put out signs, we had to put up a pontoon on the lake with a big tree on it and 7 floating swans behind it to tie in. So we did a tremendous amount of additional stuff. We had a new road we put in, and we put 27 arches over it that lit up, that people drove through. So we had all kind of things going for that. And guess what? The numbers kept going up. So we hit, I think, Jerry, it was 2,700 that we hit on 1 year of doing just for 2 nights. And to get that many people to come out in the middle of nowhere at night, not knowing what they're going to see, that was impressive that they were able to get that. And the point I'm making is taking you right back again. All this started with Dennie doing a Christmas at Freedom Farm with just his family, and it just kept growing, and he didn't let him slow him down. He just kept thinking of different ways that he could do that. So that's my story. And my thoughts to you are, because we're going to be like Dennie. You too can see something that's impossible to get done. And to do that, at first it's going to seem to be impossible. And then eventually it's going to seem like it's difficult to do. And then it's going to be done. So I challenge you to pick somebody in this group here that you know, to pair up with them and come up with a project that you can do together. And do it and put God in it and have fun doing it, because Dennie and I found that stuff's a lot easier when you're having fun doing it, right?
Absolutely, when you encourage each other. 1 Thessalonians 5:11, encourage one another. And you guys have encouraged me. You don't know how, you have no idea how much. It means that all this, it's close to 40 years this morning. This means that's awesome. I say some of them, one guy here told me he worked all week to get out of his driveway so he could come here this morning. He worked all week to get out of his driveway. One thing that one of my encouragers, strong encourager, told me. He said, "I just got 5 friends, and one of them's you."
I told him he was number 5.
Well, I've got a lot of mileage out of that one. But no, guys, we can take you in any situation. You might be in with health or lost loved ones or what it may be. Iced in, snowed in. But we can encourage one another. And we do that at boxing with a group of men we got at boxing. If somebody's in trouble, we pray right there with them. And we encourage. And we in return, we are encouraged. Thank you for listening to Russell talk so long. I appreciate him a lot. I aggravate him because he does me.
If Dennie ever misses one of these breakfasts, if y'all give me about 15 minutes, I'll tell you the really good stories.